And now, WolfBytes Open Mic.
The Bass Jackers.
I just came home actually from tour.
Hey guys, this is Phoenix Paul.
Hey, what's up? This is Sean Frank.
WolfBytes DJs and your favorite artists.
Sophie Francis. Sophie, thanks for joining us today.
Hi, it's super nice to join you guys.
What's up, guys? This is Ahmed Van Buren.
Now, Open Mic.
At 80.1 HD3 WolfBytes Radio, it is DJ Flame here with another Open Mic podcast. This time we have one of my favorites, DJ Licious. How are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. So I'm going to start out with this question. What made you start or gave you the idea to become a DJ?
Oof. Wow. Do you have like 2 hours? No, it's actually, I mean, I wanted to be a DJ like 20 years ago already, before DJing was like super hot. It was not really something that was even considered to be a career choice. But I was a big hip hop fan, and that was probably the first time I saw a DJ being a major part of a musical ensemble, or of a group or an act. And I was especially fan of Limp Bizkit and Wu-Tang Clan and all those groups, big bands. And the DJ thing and making beats just was something that really impressed me, and I wanted to do that as well. But at that time, when I wanted to become a DJ, there was no scene yet in Europe, or I think worldwide even. There were no festivals or anything like that when I started.
Got you. So when you started, did you I know you probably aimed at like doing remixes, but did you ever like also plan on like doing your own releases, like your own music besides like remixes?
Well, that's also a very good question, because in the beginning, a DJ was a DJ. He was not a producer. And so when I started out, I was just playing records that I liked. I went to London. I went to New York to buy my vinyl, because those were, the major cities to get your vinyl. And I was just like every other DJ, just a DJ. But then while I was getting further in my career, and the DJing thing was evolving into a producer thing as well. So that's when I decided to follow some courses, some colleges, and get into that as well, because I actually have a background as a piano player and musician back in the days when I was a kid. So for me, the step was not that big.
Yeah, I know like today when people want to be DJs today, I know it's a completely different from like the years past, because you actually have vinyls. You like, when you talk to people with vinyls, like, what's a vinyl? And you're like, it's like a CD, but it's not a CD, I mean,
exactly.
You just, you look at your turntable these days, just a little digital, and you're like, this is what a vinyl looks like, except the vinyl is when you put a needle on it. I know my grandmother, oh my gosh, she's a hoarder with vinyls. Like all over her wall is just like records everywhere. And I guess that's what also got me into music. But yeah.
Well, don't throw those away, man. You don't know. Maybe there's some gold nugget in there, because vinyl. That's the great thing about vinyl. It never fades. It never goes bad. And that's a whole other story with CDs and all the digital things, of course.
I know the vinyls. They're just very unique. I know one time I was just walking. Next thing I know, there was like at least 20 big eBay boxes, and I'm like, what's in there? And she was like, oh, I found these vinyls online. I'm like, okay.
Nice.
But yeah, I think the passion of music is, I guess, came from my granny a little bit too, so that's pretty cool.
Well, I think it is the same with everyone. I mean, with me, it was my dad. He was also a music hoarder. He had everything from vinyl to CDs to cassettes to mini disc. Even that's a format that I think nobody knows or remembers anymore. But yeah, he was just also like completely obsessed with music, and I think everyone has someone in their lives like that too.
Yeah, it was for me, my grandmother and my mother. I know when I was like 5 years old, she gave me a MP3 player for Christmas, and I'm telling you, she went overboard with Limewire. I'm telling you that. I mean, she was like, what song do you want? She just like put everything. I swear, I still have our family desktop, and I swear his is like, most of the hard drive is filled with music and viruses from Limewire. Well,
that's what I just wanted to say, because I literally ruined the first family PC with Napster.
Yeah, I heard of Napster
because of viruses and all that stuff. I just literally hoarded music. I bought music officially too, obviously, but I also, the things I couldn't, because now everything's global and digital. But back in the days, if you didn't have the CD, sometimes it was released in the States, but you had to wait for like 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month even.
Right.
And I wasn't that patient, so I just went to Napster for those things. But the amount of viruses I got on the family PC, oh my god.
Yeah,
my mom's still upset about that.
So yeah, I think same with us. I think we actually had to get the hard drive at least replaced at least one time too. So
multiple times here, multiple times.
Surprisingly, I think we still have it somewhere in storage, and it's still going. Surprisingly,
nice. Okay,
we'll get a blue screen here and there, but. So I read something on your biography, and there's this quote at the beginning that stick out to me the most. It says, "House is where the heart is, and home is where the house is." Do you think you can explain about that a little bit more?
Well, like I said, I first got into music and the DJing thing with hip hop, but soon I had some friends who were totally into house music and club music, and they took me to all these clubs, and I quite soon went to Ibiza as well, the party island of the world, and I was just so mesmerized by the whole atmosphere that came with that kind of music, which is like totally, feeling of togetherness, family, friends, everybody united, almost like a hippie kind of feeling, like just togetherness and being united by music. And that was something I never saw in music before. And that club music, that house music, is literally where my home is. That's why, that quote came about. How that quote came about.
Yeah, I was looking at the quote, and I'm like, that's actually like that's definitely something to highlight right there, because from reading it, I mean, we all have different meanings when we read a quote, and I read that quote, and I'm like, that is a deep quote right there. And I know that when everyone reads it, they have different. I'm like, I know it's definitely. I seen house, and I'm like, okay, it has to be something with house trap music. So
of course, obviously, I can't take all the credit. I wrote it together with a copywriter, but we were discussing it because I actually studied advertising, and I was saying like, look, I have this feeling, and I want to put this in this quote, and it's like I am home when I listen to this music, and united, and then we quickly came up with that slogan. It's not all mine; it's also my copywriter.
Yeah, well, teamwork is still a good quote. I mean, yeah, I think when everyone listens to music, I think it just gives them in a place, just like another place just to calm them down, and just another zone just to like experience the lyrics and the musical right behind it. So
exactly.
So I think from Googling your music and looking more into it, I think your first biggest hit was "I Can't Stop," if I'm mistaken.
You're not mistaken. It's very close. It's only a few months off, but my first actual big track was "Calling." That was released in 2016. That one got picked up by BBC, by Pete Tong, by all the legendary DJs. I got emails from Avicii to Martin Solveig for that track, and that was the first one. And then quickly after that came "I Can't Stop," which was then signed by Don Diablo on Hexagon, which is also obviously a big thing. And he premiered that track on EDC Las Vegas main stage, I think. And the amount of messages I got after that was just insane. I still remember that time. That was very good. Very cool.
Yeah, would you say that was probably like where your like music career started to like drastically go up in the air? Or
yes, together with the "Calling" track, absolutely. Yeah. Don has meant a lot to me. I mean, I've toured with him around the world, and he's always been a big supporter of my music. So yeah, I am very grateful. But that moment was, I mean, your music gets premiered to like 200,000 people, that's just insane, and the feedback on that one was huge. Absolutely.
When especially when we mentioned travel around the world, when you do that just to like DJ, I know you have like crazy amount of crowds. Like, how do you feel when you're about to perform and like that much people? It's just feels me. I'll probably pass out on spot.
Yeah, well, I must say, I've been now DJing full time for like 14 years. So I don't want to sound cocky, but it's kind of normalizes. That being said, there are of course still gigs that just blow you away. For example, when I played Tomorrowland main stage, I can assure you there was some alcohol involved to calm the nerves.
Oh, trust me.
And also, that being said, I must say that if you pass a certain amount of people, like a certain number of people, it just gets abstract, you know? I mean, I think if you pass like 10,000 people and then you go like 60 or 70 or 80, it all looks kind of similar because it's all just a lot, you know? It's just like, I think your brain just goes into error mode or something and just says like, okay, this is a lot of people. We can't fathom anymore how much exactly. But yeah, that being said, I still get nervous sometimes, but I have this little trick where I just play some game on my iPhone, where I just zone out and, like just play a few games of something online just 5 minutes before I go on. And that kind of calms my nerves a little bit.
Yeah, I know there's a lot of people that has like different like ways of coping right before they get on stage. I know some like sleeping, some play game, and drinking, of course. I know.
Not too much, boys and girls. Never
exactly.
Too much.
Just the limit. Just make sure you don't hit the limit, but get close enough to the limit where you just can't,
Exactly. Just some courage, it's just, it's just to take the edge off a little bit, because you sometimes it just it just doesn't hit you yet how important that gig is or how big that gig is until you get there. And sometimes it's just already like a year beforehand that this is going to be like a major milestone in your career. And then you have all the time to get nervous, basically.
I know, because I know eventually you'll get used to it, and you'll think the crowd or your like listeners basically like as a family, you see all the ones to support you, and you're just like, that also gets you pumped too. You're like,
exactly,
awesome, they're all here for me.
Yes, that is a crazy feeling, especially when they have like the boards and with your name on it, or wearing a t-shirt with your face. Last gig I got like puppets with my face on it and stuff like that. It's just crazy. The flags of their national flags with then my logo on it and stuff like that. Just super blessed that people go that whole length to support me, and that of course helps too, because when you see those friendly faces in the crowd, you're just like, okay, all right, they're here to have a good time, I'm here to have a good time, what can possibly go wrong?
Yeah, exactly. And that actually kind of led on to the next thing I was going to like talk about. Like, what was the most crazy when you were performing? What was like the most craziest thing you like experienced while you're on stage, whether it's from the audience or like equipment wise? Like,
well, I think I played in Paris once, in the city center. It was like I don't know if you know that in the States, but it's like a techno parade, which is basically all these buses and trucks with DJs on them that drive through the Champs-Élysées, which is like the biggest main street of Paris, with millions of people around you, just following the truck, just walking alongside a slow-moving truck, playing music. And every truck is hosted by a different brand or radio or whatever. And I was playing at that time, and I still remember that people just actually climbed into the traffic light, onto the traffic lights, jumping on cars, on the roof of cars, just totally destroying the cars, just having this massive rave. And I asked one of the promoters of the parade, like, why are people not moving their cars? Because obviously, if you know that this parade is going to pass, and we have this problem always. We just tell people not to park there, but still some people do it. And then it's a whole insurance thing, obviously. But that was just insane, man. That was, I had a view on the Notre Dame. I had a view on, that was just crazy.
Because I didn't know like a crowd could go that crazy. They're like crossing.
Yes,
because at first, the way you were talking about, I'm like, whoa, they climbed in the truck with the driver. I'm about to say, whoa. No.
That they leave the truck alone, because actually there's like people walking around the truck with ropes, so nobody gets under the truck. It's like a safety perimeter. But of course, you're going through the center of Paris, so everything else is up for grabs, basically. So people climb on bus stops, traffic. I had literally like 12, 14 meters high, someone hanging on traffic light, going like this, like going. insane scenes. Yeah.
Yeah, I can't do that honestly. I'll be
No, me neither. And luckily nobody got hurt and nobody ever gets hurt, but people are just so, like stoked and hyped up on the whole event because it's so surreal. You have the Eiffel Tower in the background and just millions of people just running around or walking with the trucks to a certain stop, to a certain route, and it's just insane. Absolutely insane.
That is insane. That's actually something I just like really want to. I do want to see in a person, but at the same time, I don't want no one to get hurt. But I'm like, that's just like, it's just crazy to think about like people climbing up. I mean, most of our traffic lights here are pretty high, so you're just thinking you're just going down the road and you just see someone hanging from a traffic light, and you're like, hey, how are you doing?
Well, it's the same in Europe. Our traffic lights are very high too, but for some reason nobody gets hurt. Everybody is just having fun, and in this society where everything is like super contained, because I don't know if they're still doing the techno parade. It could be that because of those things you just mentioned, they're no longer doing it, but I'm talking 10 years ago, and then that was still just not a problem at all, not by politicians, or it was not forbidden, just police was just watching, and there were no incidents, because like I said, the house music that we play is always about unity and love and accepting each other, and even the LGBTQ community, everything is super involved with the music we make and club music, and we've always been very the queer community has always been a very big part of us. There was never any color because house music literally started in Detroit. So everything is just, we just love and embrace everyone. So those raves or parades were really, really, really peaceful. Nothing really ever happens. But yeah, I can imagine climbing a lamppost or a traffic light is not the top example of safety.
Yeah, it ain't safety, but at the same time, what you mentioned was really awesome, because I love it when just like people just like come together, like for like concerts and music events like that. No matter what, they'll just all come together with love and peace, with like no fear of danger or anything. They can just sit and celebrate and just like have a good time with each other. That is actually pretty good to know.
Exactly. That's why I fell in love with this kind of music, because when I went to Ibiza to that very first club, I will never forget. I was there in an afternoon. It was an afternoon rave, and I got in. I think Tiesto was playing, David Guetta. It was an insane lineup. The tickets, I mean, I'm talking 15 years ago, so the tickets were not that expensive. And I was just dancing on the dance floor with a dad next to me with his 7-year-old son or on his shoulders, just enjoying the music. And then 10 meters from there was Barbara Tucker singing. She's a great house singer. And she was singing in front of Serena Williams, who was just chilling there. No VIP, no security, nothing. Just everybody just together, like just living in the moment. No, it was also before social media, so yeah. Maybe that helped too. I don't know what it was, but right there and then I just fell in love with this vibe and with how it was. I was just connecting people, and I was talking to the dad, and I said, "Why are you bringing your 6-7-year-old son here?" He said, "I grew up here. I love this music, and I want to share this with him." That just blew my mind, man. That just blew my mind.
That's really awesome to think about. And like the inspiration to your music, even your like newer music today, they also sound really good. I know there's 2 recent ones that one that I think it came out like the late end of last year, probably like I guess around Christmas time, Never Let You Go. That was probably one of my favorites. And then you got In My Heart.
Thank you, man. Thank you. You're very kind. Thank you. Yeah, both of them are written with the same feeling. All my music is written with the same feeling of just, making people laugh, fun, love, having this great time together. Because I think in recent times, we are gradually losing that connection a lot. And In My Heart was actually written for all the fans that I had to miss during COVID, and all the fans that I was not connecting with anymore. So I was at this party in a country where COVID measures were already lifted, and then some other people couldn't join. And that's where I wrote in my heart about, like, you know, like, you are not here in, you know, like physically, but you're here in spirit, because we are all connected by this music. And that's what that track is actually about. So, yeah.
Really, I didn't actually know that. But that's actually pretty, because I know when I first heard it, I know you hear my heart, but it's like just the beat to it. It's just like, you just want to get you. Then I'm like, this is nice. This is really catchy. So I can definitely feel and see like the upbeat in your music, especially In My Heart, because I think when we were advertising it as new music at the beginning of this year, I was like, this is really catchy. So that was like one of my favorite new songs for that week.
That's very kind, man. Thank you.
Of course. So in the future, do you plan on like doing any collaborations or anything in the future, or any like remixes or any future plans with your music?
There are some future plans, but unfortunately, like most future plans, I cannot really talk about it yet. But there are some remixes coming for a big American label. And I have a big collab coming up as well. But yeah, I can't really drop names yet. But there's also a new single coming in a month from now, I think, which we're the end of March, so month and a half, and it's called Ibiza Skies. It's about that feeling in Ibiza. So yeah,
I understand.
A lot of stuff coming.
I understand. I don't know that you have to keep it secret until it comes out, because I completely understand that. It's just I know there's like a few hints they like to throw out at you.
I don't even want to be a douche about it, but it's like, you know, it's the music industry, and so many things still can go wrong, because like recently I announced a remix that was coming, and then in the end it got killed for some, you know, corporate or music reason or whatever. So that's why I'm like super careful with these things. It's not always even in my power how or when the music gets out, you know. So yeah, that's why. But there are a lot of things boiling in my studio right now, so there's a lot of stuff coming.
Yeah, we're definitely looking forward to it too. So,
thank you, man. Thank you.
I mean, yeah. So DJ Licious, how did you get the name DJ Licious?
That's the question that always comes back, and the answer is not so fancy as you might think. But when I was around like 15, 16 years old, there was like a tendency for DJs to always make like a little wordplay with their names. And at that time, there was also a track from Destiny's Child, Bootylicious. And it just clicked in my head, DJ Licious, you know, just like, okay, this sounds funny. It's clever in some way, which I now doubt, but I was 16, so come on, let's not be too
yeah, you're a teenager then, so yeah.
I was a teenager at the time, and then the name kind of stuck. And the fun thing is that I have a lot of European colleagues, and they have like these very sophisticated names, but then they get pronounced wrong when they were like touring in Asia or in the States, and my name never gets pronounced wrong, so I call it a win. Maybe it's not the best wordplay in the world, but I call it a win anyway.
It ain't the best, but I mean, it's definitely like really, really hard to mess up, because you think Licious, like, because when I first saw your name, that's actually what came. The first thing in my head was Bootylicious. I'm like,
exactly.
I'm like, is that where you got it from, or is it just like a coincidence?
No. That's exactly where I got it from, because again, it was like the trend at the time of all the DJs like making these like word plays and like, you know, alliterations or whatever, you know. And at that time, DJ Licious just sounded funny. And I mean, what did I know? I was 16 years old. What did I know that I was gonna travel the world with my music and produce and all that? I was just, you know, I was just playing some college parties. That was it. And I thought, well, I need a name. Yeah. And here we are 15 years later.
I bet when you're in college, everyone just loved the name DJ Licious. They'll be like, DJ Licious, yeah.
Yeah. I think it was even with a brainstorm session with one of my friends, you know, like we were on the bikes, you know, just like chilling somewhere in a park. I think even it was like, I got this name and I got this name. And then what do you guys think? And they were like, oh, DJ Licious, that is actually cool. And I said, okay, all right. So without any further consideration, I just went and dove in, and yeah.
And it's still successful today. So I mean, hey, if it still impacts today, so I mean, who knew that when you're just young, something that you did now is actually still like relevant today?
Exactly. And I just keep saying, for the people who don't like the name DJ Licious, there is a very successful artist called Marshmallow. I mean, a name is just a name also, it's just, yeah.
Because I know you got like, there's a lot of, I know like a lot of DJ, which is one of the things I like about DJs, the creativity in their names. They either just come up with the top of their head or based with like life experiences.
Exactly.
I know the first EDM group I was introduced to was the Chainsmokers, and I'm like,
they don't even smoke.
they don't even smoke, and I'm like, because that's like one of the things. Do the Chainsmokers smoke? And they're like, no.
Exactly. I mean, it's just, a moniker. It's just an alias. But at that time, Destiny's Child was larger than life. It still is, but then in the form of Beyonce, obviously. But yeah, it was just, just like that.
Oh, that's really good. So is there like any inspiration you have for like others today that are wanting to pursue like a career in DJing or producing?
I think the key thing, and I know it's not going to sound any like romantic or like super, I mean, it's going to sound a little bit preachy maybe even, but I think the most important thing you should do is follow your heart and be patient. Because I always believe that if you follow trends or you want to be like, or follow other examples, or, of course you can get inspired by other artists or artists that do amazing things, obviously. But if you do what is coming from your heart, you will resonate at a certain moment with other people and with fans and with people who consume your music. If you're just following blindly and like very deliberately make music or DJ and you just follow the trends, you're always going to be behind. If you do what you think is you, then at a certain moment, the trend and what you are doing are going to come on a crossroad, and that's where it explodes. And that's what happened to me. But for some people, that moment on the crossroad can take 5 months, and with others, it can take 20 years. So that is the patience part. That is just something you really need to, you have to keep believing, and you have to keep, and trust me, even if you're like a big DJ, and I don't even consider myself to be the top, but if you are in a certain level, it still is hard, it never stops. You still have to keep that inner compass and just do what you like. And sometimes what you do will be like super popular and everybody will like it. And in certain times, the trend is just so far away from you that there's not even a little spot on you, but just keep the faith and it will come back to you for sure.
Yeah, I know a lot of it DJ based is based on trial and error and just following life experience and what you love.
Exactly. I mean, it's super hard work. I look like crap right now because I just slept like 3 hours yesterday on the plane coming back from Tomorrowland winter. The day before I slept 2 hours. Then I had a whole travel. I just come from Nepal. If you don't really like what you're doing and you're in it for the wrong reasons, trust me, you can't keep up with anything. This is really, really important that it's your passion and that is what you really want, because you're not going to keep up with this lifestyle or pace of lifestyle, because if your heart's not in it, that's not going to fly for sure.
Yeah, I understand, because I know a lot of people don't, when they think of DJing, they never, most of the time doesn't like traveling around the world, doesn't like cross their minds as much. I mean, most people just think about like locally, but like then
exactly. And you can be a great local DJ. I mean, I was talking to a DJ yesterday. He's like super big in Belgium. He sells out arenas. But if you go outside of Belgium, nobody knows him. Absolutely nobody. But he sells out arena shows of 20,000 tickets all by himself. And he just told me, he said, like, I am very impressed what you do, because you have all these jet lags. You're doing this whole bigger area around the world with the touring. And I get to my own bed every night. And I still make the same amount of money as you, or even more maybe. So you never know where your career is going, where your audience is. So that is also, something you need to find out, and with trial and error, and that basically.
Well, that's really cool. Yeah, I know it's just a lot, and just basically most what everyone says, just go what your heart follows and just what you just feel like doing.
And be patient. I cannot stress that enough. Be patient, because I sometimes have like people sending me stuff and they're like, oh, I've been doing this DJ thing for a year now and it's still not working. And I'm like, dude, a year is absolutely nothing in this industry. I mean, David Guetta, probably the most famous DJ ever to be alive. He was already pushing parties and DJing for 15 years before he got big, or 20 years even before he really blew up with all his collabs with Kelly Rowland and all those things and the Black Eyed Peas. That was 15 years of hustle before that. And nobody sees the hustle. They only see the success. But there's so much hustle and patience before that. Never forget that.
That's everything. I believe that patience is key for everything. And
exactly.
I mean, if you look at the older artists like David Guetta, I mean, he has like I'm Good is still like really high on the charts after a few months, and it's just crazy. And most of his songs are, and I think it's just the more that you get into it, the more you'll know what to expect and just get a feel for what.
And there's always the element of luck a little bit. I mean, obviously hard work pays off, and it's also the American dream and all that. And I truly believe that, but there's also an element of luck, because with David Guetta, he was already on top of the world. And everybody thought he cannot go higher than this. This is, you know, he's good, he's solid, he's going straight. And then I'm Good happens. And all of a sudden he gets introduced to a whole new generation of kids on TikTok, and it explodes again for him. I don't think anyone in the music industry thought that would be possible. And he just did it with that element of luck and just the right collab and just the right, you know, music out. And, you know, it just resonated again with a whole new generation, and that is super cool. Same thing with Kate Bush, for example, with Stranger Things.
Yeah,
you know, that was a track, nobody played that track anymore, nobody. And then all of a sudden it gets introduced to a whole new audience, and her career just exploded again.
I think that's like one of the main things about music too, is like there's a lot of songs that they may not seem popular now, or they were popular back then, but then they're like maybe a new trend or another platform or social media or something for the younger audiences.
Exactly.
Blow right back up again.
Exactly. That's the great thing about internet nowadays. Of course, in my time when I started and you released music, if it was not popular at straight away and was not played on the radio, it was over. Now with the internet, anything can become big 10, 12 years, 15 years after release. It can still happen. You don't know. There's like one guy, a big guy or a big media figure or whatever. This is like, oh, this is a nice song, and everybody picks it up again, and you have a whole new career. That's the beauty of internet, I think, at the moment. It's just, it goes in any possible direction. Who would have expected that ABBA with Gimme 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 would be big again in the whole world in such a major way? Nobody.
Yeah. And they, like, I know what they did with like I'm Good. They took like the original song by Eiffel 65 and they remixed it another way. So basically they, in a way, like rebooted it right back up, which is
exactly. And Baby Resha did an amazing job, obviously. I mean, that was just insane. But that track was big in Europe 25 years ago when I started as a DJ. Super, I mean, I was not even a DJ, I think, at the time. And then all of a sudden it gets picked up again and it just blows up in a way that nobody ever imagined.
Yeah, I knew that song was big because I think that was one of the EDM songs I liked when I was younger. And
really?
Yeah, I think I was like, I was like 8 years old and I had my iPod Touch, and then a friend introduced me to the song. I'm like, this is a nice beat, and then that's when I started getting more into it, and I didn't know they were from Europe. And then ever since then, it's just like the top dance song in Europe. And then now today, you'll see it every now and then for like what people use, I guess, for like memes nowadays, or just like reboots.
Exactly. Yeah. Cool, man. Cool.
So is there anything else that you would like to add or mention?
No, not really. There's new music coming. I would like to thank everyone for listening to In My Heart, my latest single. And if you're in Europe this summer, or maybe in Asia, because I'm doing a tour in Nepal again in May, I think, you're always welcome to come to one of my shows and reach out on Instagram. I try to respond to everyone. in the best possible way, because of course it's sometimes a job that is not sustainable. But if you reach out, I always try to react, and it's always cool to see fresh faces at shows. So yeah, thanks everyone for the support.
Of course, and it's definitely well deserved.
Thank you, man.
Thank you for joining us again. This is DJ Flame on Open Mic. You can, if you like this episode, you can check out more episodes of Open Mic wherever you get your podcast or at wolfbytes.ncsu.edu. This is DJ Flame, and until next time.